Welcome! This is my first video about Inktense blocks, and I am going to make a painting with these beautiful blocks, water-soluble ink, and I'm going to paint this water lily. And this water lily lives in our pond, and well, I took a couple of pictures and I'm going to try to paint it. For this painting I am using a hot pressed watercolor paper from the French Arche brand, but English people who speak English, they always pronounce it as Arches. And I chose a hot pressed watercolor paper because it is a smooth surface, and I already did some testing with the blocks on cold press, and cold press has a little bit of a tooth, and that didn't work out for me. And you will see that later in the video, because the color chart that I made it on a cold press paper, and it looks like a mess. The colors look like a mess. Here you see me adding the first colors, a reddish tone and yellow tones. The yellow tones will come a little bit later. Here we go. And I'm starting with this tone because the flower has a warmish pinkish tone. And that's why I chose these colors as a first layer. And well, it's, as I said, it is my first time really painting with these blocks, and well, it was very exciting. I received the set of blocks from a very generous viewer, one of you, a lady from India. Thank you. It was such a generous gift. And with the blocks set of 72, the complete set, I also received the complete set of 72 pencils, so it was a double gift. And I will use a couple of pencils later in this video as well. And well, I already was very excited and happy with the Inktense pencils, because a couple of years ago I received a set of 24 Inktense pencils from a viewer from California, and I was instantly hooked, because those pencils, they combine my passion for pencils and my love for watercolor. Just lovely stuff. I'm using quite a large brush, and it is a synthetic brush. This is quite an oldie. I've been having this one for a very long time. With watercolor, I have used it, but I prefer different brushes. But with the Inktense, this works really good. There are two differences between Inktense blocks and watercolor, in my opinion. The two main differences, and that is that these inks are way more opaque. You will see later when the painting is almost finished, then you can see that very clearly. And also, ink is permanent once it has dried, and I like that a lot, but I need to make sure every time that I use enough water so the ink will not dry too quickly, and I will end up with harsh lines and, well, things that I don't want to have. I want to have time to smooth things out, so I use enough water. Very important. So here you can see that the flower is a little bit emerging from the background already. And here I'm just adding a little bit of clean water before I put in color. And this is a first color just to see how things work, how shading works. It's just, I'm exploring. I'm always exploring when it comes to painting and coloring. Here you can see my color chart on cold press paper. Doesn't look very nice. So I'm going to make a new color chart on hot press paper. I forgot what I was talking about, I'm sorry. But, well, you can see me here just adding more and more layers. Oh yes, painting for me is an adventure. I love it. And I never know what the end result will be. I'm never quite sure where things will go, and that makes it so exciting. I've been contemplating, thinking about doing large paintings, and my feeling was that watercolor would not do it, and then I could go to acrylics or oils, but I like the watercolor thing, and I think these Inktense blocks may be the answer to painting larger paintings. I would love to paint on canvas, so I'm figuring out right now whether that is possible or not. And here you can see that the flower is actually emerging a little bit more, and I really find this stage of the painting interesting. So in the future I will look whether this way of painting, this what you see now as an end result, whether that will work or not. I think that might work. Because I'm interested in using Inktense for paintings, more paintings, I've been doing some research about light fastness, because if I want to hang things on the wall, I don't want things to fade. And so I did a little bit of research, and it looks very good. There are a couple of blocks in the 72 set that are a little less light fast, so I should not use them in a painting that I would like to hang on the wall or sell. But other than that, I think there's a good chance that Inktense will do the trick. And I did a little bit more research. Are there artists already using Inktense as a serious medium, professional medium? And the answer is yes. There's a great artist, an English man. His name is Robert Dutton, and he makes the most beautiful landscapes. He uses lots of different media, but also Inktense. So that gave me the courage to, the trust to go try this. Just make the larger paintings. So now you can see me adding water to the center of the flower and just adding in a warm yellow tone. And I think you can already see in this stage that Inktense is a little bit more opaque than watercolor. It behaves differently. Just taking a look at the colors. Here I'm adding a darker tone to the water. And now I'm painting with the small brush, and I'm not exactly sure why I did that, because I think the bigger one will work better. They say that a good painter, watercolor painter, needs only one brush, a big one with a very fine tip. And with the big brush with a very fine tip you can do almost everything. But I haven't reached that level yet. Here I go with that larger brush. I like the sketchiness of what this brush is doing. Really like it. I thought that when I started painting a couple of years ago that by now I would be a quicker painter. But that is not the case. I love layering and I'm always building. Maybe because I'm not sure about putting in dark colors immediately, dark, bold colors. I think I should try an experiment with putting in more color in an earlier stage. I don't know if it works for me, but who knows. And here you can see me using a blue brush, and this is a Cotman brush from Winsor & Newton. Winsor & Newton sent me a set a long time ago, last year. They asked me to give them a try. And I must say I am very impressed with these brushes because they are filament brushes, so also synthetic hairs. And they perform really good. I also have natural hair brushes, and there is a very big difference between the natural hair brushes and the synthetic brushes that I had, the white ones that I'm using in this video also. But with this blue brush, it seems like there was a huge improvement in the quality of the brushes. I looked them up in the Netherlands. My favorite art store doesn't sell this brush, but you can buy them on the internet. Cotman, Winsor & Newton Cotman. So here you see a little bit of an overview. And I think it's a day later. I never paint for very long hours. So I take short, maybe half an hour, 45 minutes most of the time, and then I take a break. I come back later in the day or a day later, the next day. So and here you can also see that this green tone is really opaque. And the fun thing about this opacity is that you can go light over dark. And with watercolor that is impossible. You can only do dark over light. Here you can clearly see the opacity. And here I'm starting to add shadows in the water, because on the photograph there is shadow visible. And I really like painting shadows because that will bring the sun into your painting. If you want the sun to shine in your painting, then you have to put in shadows, because that gives the illusion that there is a sun shining on your subject. Now the shapes of the shadows, I was struggling a little bit with that, because I didn't know whether to simplify the forms that I found in the picture, or just to do what the picture had. Eventually I decided to follow what I saw on the picture, but I think my painting will, look here, strange forms. But I think I will have to do a little bit more experimenting with painting shadows, make it more abstract, simplify it. I think that will help improve my painting. So this water lily, it lives in our garden since 2 years. Before that we had another water lily, but that had grown so huge it didn't fit the pond anymore. And the pond was very messy and dirty, and it had to be cleaned out. So last year we cleaned it out, and we got rid of that huge water lily. Although it was a beautiful flower, it was too much for our little pond. And I bought a new water lily, this one. Thankfully, the salamanders, we have newts in our pond, they came back after the cleaning. I was a little bit worried that they might not enjoy the clean pond, but they do. Yeah, here we see the Cotman brush. This is a smaller one. And I'm going to add detail to the center of the flower. And as you can see, I'm changing the color because it didn't show. Sometimes you have to change your colors when you paint from a picture, from a photo. Pictures or colors that work on a photo might not work on your painting. And in this case, and here this was the case, the yellow that was in the picture was too light. It didn't show up in the painting. With Inktense you can go very dark. I'm trying to be as precise as possible. In the past I had trouble coloring and painting flowers. There was always this... I couldn't get the flower look like a flower. The crispiness, the delicateness, it didn't work out. Until a friend of mine, she told me, she once did a botanical art class, and she told me you need to be very sharp and crisp in your lines in your painting. And I used to smooth things out constantly. And that is not what you should do. You need to keep the lines as sharp as possible, and that is exactly why I'm here turning to the watercolor pencils, or the Inktense pencils, because I can make the lines very sharp. And with a smaller Cotman brush I can just distribute the ink. I must say this is a very satisfying phase in the painting process. I love pencils and I love painting, and in this phase, when using the Inktense pencils, the two come together. Sheer joy this is. Absolutely sheer joy. I love it. And the yellow one, just to add a little bit more color to that center. You can of course choose whether you want to use those pencils with water or without. They are pretty good without water also. And the combination of blocks and pencils make Inktense such a versatile medium, and you can use the blocks also without water. You can use them as a pastel stick, you know, soft pastels. And there's a really nice thing about using those blocks just dry, just putting the ink on the paper directly from the block. It doesn't smudge. It doesn't smudge as soft pastels smudge. So I'm really going to try that out also. The leaves of this water lily, they have this delicate red rim. And I decided to put that in for two reasons. First of all, because the leaves do have that red tone, but also it will help to pull the painting together. Because of course in the flower there is red tones also. So this will just pull everything together. And now I'm going to add a little bit more contrast to let those petals pop out a little bit more. So this is a dark pencil, and I will just add a feeling. It's not a shadow, but it is contrast. There should be a little bit of contrast. And the fun thing with Inktense is that once you add water to it, the color intensifies. So you need a little bit of pigment to create quite a big impact. So I'm always careful with the amount of pencil, dry pencil that I put on the paper. Making sure that the lines are crisp and sharp. Here I had a little flaw, so with this pencil I'm cleaning that up. So this is just the last stage of me painting. Just a couple of tiny little things that needed to be done. I thought, because it turned out differently, this was the end result. And it certainly has something, but I wasn't happy about it. So I added a different tone to the water, and now this is the end result. I felt that flower needed a little bit more contrast to pop out, so I changed the background color. And if you are interested, if you like this painting, you can buy an art print or something else with a print on it. And there is this website, fineartamerica.com. If you go to my little page there, you can see some of my artwork, and you can order it as an art print on canvas, on all sorts of stuff like a smartphone case. I will show you a little bit what here on mugs. Now this website Fine Art America, it works together with different printers all over the world. There's one printer in the Netherlands. So if you order some of this, it doesn't have to travel all over the world to get to you. It will be printed in the printer the closest to your home. Here, these are my art prints, completely framed, so you can buy it like that as well. So if you're interested, take a look. And well, see you in the next video. Bye bye.